so special.
Welcome back to Talk Your Culture. I am your host, Christopher Fagan. On this show, we talk culture. And today, we are talking about the city of Thomaston. And who better than the Thomaston Economic Development Director to be here with us. Man, I got a long list on this guy, man. I'm gonna just
not
run
necessary.
it off. But I'm gonna introduce him to you. He's Mr. Taylor Smith.
Good morning.
Glad you came.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Let's talk about this great city that we live in.
A lot of great things happening, man.
All right. Well, first of all, let's just talk about you.
Okay.
Real quick. I did my homework, bro.
Oh, Lord.
I'm finna run it down. If that's
Okay.
with
Okay.
you. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, go ahead.
Upson Lee High School.
Okay.
Mountain Education Center.
Yep.
Gordon State.
Yep.
University of West Georgia, 2018.
Yep.
University of West Georgia, 2021.
Yep.
Reams Formal Wear,
Ooh, way back in the day.
2012, 3 months.
Yep.
McDonald's Crew Manager,
Oh, yeah.
2013, 2 months. Renter Center,
Mm-hmm.
Customer Accountant Representative, 2013, 1 year, 8 months. Renter Center Assistant Manager, 2015, 3 months. University of West Georgia Beach Pool Attendant, 2 months.
That was a summer job.
The Coliseum Event Operations Supervisor, 2015, 2 years and 8 months.
Yep.
Is that Allie's?
Alice Beach was the pool. So
Okay.
Alice Beach is on 38 down near like Panama City and Destin. It was this. I found a job on Craigslist, but yeah,
Okay.
I served drinks and set up pool chairs and stuff. Yeah, it's just 2015, man. It's a different time.
Okay. The University of West Georgia Peer Academic Coach,
Yep.
1 year, 4 months.
Yep.
Geico Management Internship, 2017, 3 months.
That was a summer internship.
Okay. One Life Fitness,
Mm-hmm.
2017, that's 7 months.
I was a weekend manager.
Is this Ozier?
Ozier
Ozier.
Apparel. Yeah.
Apparel, okay. Ozier Apparel Key Accountant Manager, 2018, 10 months.
Yep. Then I moved.
Okay.
Then I moved to Louisiana.
The City of Monroe Project Coordinator at Department of Planning and Community Development, 2019, 1 year, 8 months. And the City of Thomaston Economic Development Director, 2021, 5 years and counting.
Absolutely.
Man, who are your parents?
Whew. My mom, her name is maiden name's Nobles, Debbie Nobles. Married name was Smith, and my dad's name was James Smith. He went by Tattoo. He got killed in a motorcycle accident when I was 15.
No.
All that happened post that, right? So had a journey, a life journey.
So how was y'all relationship before he passed away?
Struggled. My parents were divorced.
Broken home.
I was, but
Okay.
he got remarried, and nonetheless, I was 15. We were starting to really. I was growing up, right? I was becoming a man, and like we were forming that father-son relationship of what you have as an adult father-son, right, versus
Yeah.
father-son as a kid. So, nonetheless, it shaped me tremendously. And now that I have a son of my own, it's definitely left a lasting impact on me in that regard.
Well, I come from that broken home. I don't know, man. It's not the thing that you want.
No, absolutely
But
not.
it's been some great people come out of that broken home. man.
A lot of those experiences, the mountain education. I grew up going to Upson Lee, born and raised in Thomaston, right? And then lose my dad, definitely huge impact. 15 years old, emotionally, mentally, physically, you're just not prepared to handle something like that. And so I got really far out of school, and you just got messed up. And eventually moved to North Georgia, wound up going to a night school to catch up. I finished like 12 classes in 4 months so I could graduate on time with my friends. Even though I wasn't graduating with my friends, I was still graduating the same time because I was always a very smart kid, as you can tell by the amount of schooling I got and the amount of student loans I have. But I'd had that trauma happen in my life, and it had shaped me instead of me shaping it. And you have some of those internalized conversations with yourself on what the heck are you doing? You
Yeah.
got to get your stuff together. And I had one of those. And again, I knocked out 12 classes in 4 months and graduated, came back to Thomaston, went to Gordon for a little while. I got engaged, have an ex-fiance, that high school sweetheart, that left a lasting impression on me as well, and that wound up not working out. And so during that time, I left Gordon, worked at Rent-A-Center for a few years here locally, did well, got promoted to assistant manager, but after me and my ex split up, I was 22, no kids, no real responsibilities, and I was like, I want to go back to school, and so made my way to West Georgia. I was living on O Street in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house for $400 a month, which is unheard of nowadays, right? You cannot do that. So I quit my job, left my house, and I moved on campus at West Georgia. Didn't know anybody. I got a job at West Georgia at the Coliseum, which was like our event center where we did concerts and basketball games, volleyball, any kind of big. It was a 6,500 person venue, so I wound up working my way up to like an assistant, student director there, over like 25 employees. Got another job on campus as a peer academic coach because I was 22 when I went back. So, I went to college and I realized a lot of these kids coming out of high school don't understand that transition and struggle with that transition. So I wasn't smart enough to teach them how to do the algebra and the calculus, but I was smart enough to teach them how to do time management and organizational skills and studying mechanisms and stuff like that. So I tried to leverage that opportunity, and then I got a job at One Life Fitness off campus, right? Because I wasn't making enough money, so I needed 3 jobs while I was doing my 2 degrees at West Georgia.
3 jobs is good today.
Hey, no, I'm thankful I did it because now, I work hard, daily, but I'm thankful for all those experiences because they shaped me, right? Those Rent-A-Center days were rough.
I imagine
there were some interesting days, but I'm thankful for that time in my life. It taught me how to talk to people. It taught me how to just humble myself and try to treat everyone equally and fairly. And so I used that when I went to school, and I made my first test I took a test in calculus. I made a 43.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, man, I'm going to fail out of college. I made the wrong decision. I done messed up. And I had to have one of those conversations with myself again and check it and say, okay, you can do this. And, here we are a decade later with a master's and 2 bachelors and, thankful that I made that decision to leave that life and choose that other path. But it took me getting outside my comfort zone. Leaving Thomaston was terrifying because when this is all it's hard to imagine something else, right?
Yeah.
And so that first semester was rough. So that would have been fall 15. And then spring 16, I wound up joining a fraternity. Never said I'd do that either. And, it just I needed that brotherhood in my life. And I'm so thankful that I found that. One of my fraternity brothers, Bodie, is the reason why I got to Louisiana. So he got a job out there as a morning news anchor. And I said, Bodie, I'm going to go with you out there. I was working at Osier at the time, and I had started my master's in public administration, but I wasn't doing anything towards my career, right? I wanted to do something in this field. And so Bodie had a morning news show with the mayor of Monroe every other week. Okay. And so through Bodie, I met the mayor of Monroe. They needed someone to run a program.
Gotcha.
Again, I was working on a master's, had 2 bachelor degrees, and so I got my way in there and then just tried to soak up as much as I could. Never thinking I'd come home, but God has a plan, and He steered me back to Thomaston.
God, that happened. And trauma has an interesting way of shaping people.
Tremendously.
It really
tremendously,
does.
man.
And my coworker, I don't like to call him my boss. He definitely don't like for us to call him that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He say we are partners, right? But he told me something a long time ago, and I wish I had met him when I was 17. And he told me that then. He told me this when I was like 28, 29.
That's 10 years worth of.
But I wish I'd have known that when I was 17. But
Absolutely.
anyway, he said something to me. He said, do all of the hard things while they're easy. Mm-hmm. All right?
Yeah.
And if do all the hard things while they are easy was just one word, and it was in the dictionary, that definition would be a picture of you.
Oh, man.
All right? Because you just had kids, right?
I got a son. He's 7 months and 12 days old.
Do you think you would have accomplished any of this had you had a kid early on?
I never would have met my wife, right? I met Jenny when I was out in Monroe, Louisiana, and my wife is Vietnamese and from New Orleans originally, right? So I would have never ever crossed her path if I hadn't taken that chance. Again, leaving Thomaston was terrifying, but leaving Georgia, even more so, right? But I'd gained confidence in my ability to figure it out, right? I mean, I think that's part of life, is learning that life is going to throw you curveballs and you're going to have to learn how to pivot. And if you can pivot and figure it out, you can thrive. And so I'd gone through some situations in college where I had to pivot and figure it out, and gave me confidence. And then again, having a fraternity brother to go out there with made it even easier, especially financially. I'm not having to pay all the bills by myself. We could just split them, right? So I met my wife on Tinder during COVID. I met my wife on Tinder during COVID in Monroe, Louisiana, and like the moment I met her, I knew she was the one. And we dated hot and heavy for 3 or 4 months, and then she dumped me. She dumped me and went back to her ex of 10 years. And, I was in a almost 5-year relationship myself, so I got it, but it was also heartbreaking when that happened. I was like, okay, forget this. Yeah. I'm getting out of Louisiana. It's not the place for me. And I was finishing my master's, so this is 2021, that spring, and I thought I had a job lined up in Asheville, North Carolina. I'd interviewed really well, had really great conversations. I mean, I was confident enough that I put a down payment on an apartment. The day they called me and said I was the second choice for the job, my mom pushed me this job. So this was an economic development coordinator job when she pushed it to me. And she got pushed it from Sylvia Chapman. Okay. Sylvia Chapman was the Main Street coordinator in Thomaston for about 7-8 years in the mid-2000s. The only reason that's relevant to me is because after I lost my dad in 2008, summer of 2009, I interned under Sylvia Chapman that entire summer. No money. No, it wasn't paid, and it wasn't like an official City of Thomaston position. Miss Sylvia was a family friend, and she said, look, I know you don't have a lot of good, positive things going on in your life right now. If you want something to, take your mind off the craziness, come up to City Hall and you can help me. And so I came up to City Hall every day for 10 weeks, doing 400 hours that summer, right? And helped raise money for the first mural in downtown Thomaston on the side of English's Cafe. And when my mom pushed me this job, I was a fixing to graduate, broke college student that needed a job, and I thought I was going to Asheville, and that didn't work out. And I was like, let me at least shoot my shot, right? And so I didn't know JD, the mayor, but I followed him on Facebook because he was the mayor of Thomaston. And so I messaged him on Facebook Messenger, and I said, hey, man, you don't know me. Here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's my degree. I'd love to come and have a conversation. And so he pushed that to the city manager, and next thing I know, I'm getting called in for an interview. And after 4 interviews, they hired me for this position. This was a new position for the city. They'd always had a Main Street person, someone to do events and, try to keep festivals and stuff like that up, but they wanted more. And while I didn't necessarily have a background in economic development, I can talk. Yeah. I can sell, right? And I'm passionate. And after 4 interviews, they hired me for this job. And that was 21. In 23, 24, I got promoted to director. But the funniest story, and you talk about just God coming full circle and putting you where you're supposed to be. Right. About 2 weeks after I started this job, I was in the basement of City Hall over at the Lee Complex looking for something. And I found something with my handwriting on it from 2009. Mind you, this is 2021, 12 years later, and my handwriting's in that basement. Meant to be. And so I want to pour back into this city, because it poured so much into me growing up, and I want to pour back into it.
Without a doubt, I think you probably have done a wonderful job thus far. I truly believe that you're going to continue to do a great job with this type of resume and your type of drive and motivation and determination. I wouldn't be surprised if you just edged right on up, to maybe past the mayor, man, representing the state, not just.
I just want to serve people. I think growing up here, going through the challenges I went through in my life, going through those different trials and tribulations, overcoming, right? Working paycheck to paycheck at Rent-A-Center, being on food stamps, going through the day-to-day hassle of the realities of life, right? And now being in the position I'm in, where I don't have to stress about how am I going to pay that power bill? How am I going to pay that truck note? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Do I still have debt? We don't want to talk about my student loans. That's part of the reason why I work in local government. But, I've worked so hard, and I've been given so much opportunity, and I'm so thankful. But now I'm all about how can I leverage my position to pour into others,
Yeah.
right? Because if I can do it, if I can grow up here,
Yeah.
come from a broken home, come from a fatherless home, and,
Right.
and amount to what I am, how do I pour into others and show them that you can be from Thomaston and you can be something.
Yeah.
You can have something, you can
Without
own
a
something,
doubt.
you can do something. I
Without
think
a
this
doubt.
this message that we've been taught, that if you grow up here, if you're from here, there's no hope, there's no opportunity, you've got to leave. That was the case.
Yeah.
I mean, and I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, so I watched this town go from one of the best 100 small towns in America to a town of no hope and no opportunity. The reality is when the mills closed here, we lost over 4,000 jobs in a town of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
We lost 85% of our small business stock because every mom and pop shop was supported by the mill workers.
Right.
And we lost 1,500 in population. The city's budget was cut in half overnight. And for 20 years, the city's tried to, how do we just make it work? How do we just make it work? How do we take care of this and take care of this and just keep pushing forward? And, in 2018, they finally started taking an effort to listen to the citizens. And I don't know if you remember this, but it was called Heart and Soul. So the Community Heart and Soul program was between 2018 and 2020. And essentially it was a big community engagement platform where they touched over 7,000 residents across 100 plus events. So Jennifer Rogers was the leader behind this initiative. And, one of the things that really worked for them was, rather than expecting people to come to City Hall and give their thoughts and input, they went out to the community. So they went to the different rec centers. They went to local churches. They engaged citizens where the citizens felt comfortable. And so if you look at some of the things that I've done, especially with the East Thomaston visioning and how we can really look to revitalize this area, instead of saying, hey, come to City Hall and let's talk about this, we've hosted those events at Stonewall Church. Because I want people to feel comfortable coming and voicing their concerns and their ideas and telling me, how can the city help, right? I mean, end of the day, I think there's a thought that the city's here to lay the law down and tell you what you can and can't do. But I'm much more of the mindset, if there's an issue, how do we talk about that issue and find solutions to address the issue? And, the city can't do everything.
Right.
Some of these responsibilities are tied back to the county. Some are tied back to the state. Some are federal. But I'm all for, again, if you have an issue, have a concern, have a question, let's talk about it, and I'll do my best to find a resolution. And so, again, just trying to use this position to serve our community and fix some of the issues, because we do have issues. But what our citizens need to understand is that every town has issues. Every town has issues.
I do know that there are whispers or rumors or assumptions that you can't do anything without the city's permission. I do know that. I don't know it for sure, but I do know that I've heard enough to know that people do feel that way for sure.
I mean, look, there's certain rules and regulations. I mean, end of the day, things like zoning ordinance, it matters. I mean, if you live in some of our neighborhoods, do you want an industrial park right beside your house?
Yeah.
Do you want loud manufacturing at night, right?
Yeah.
So these things matter, and there's specific ideas behind where you want density, where you want large-scale housing, where you want single-family housing, but that's one of those things where let's have a conversation with our citizens and say, hey, this area we think will be good for this, and this area be good for that. And when it comes to businesses, I'm all for, how do I help pour into your business, right? We have so many opportunities and we lose so much money. Well, people don't know. Our city, we lose $574 million every single year because we don't have the businesses people want. How many times do you go out to eat outside of Thomaston because we don't have the restaurants that people want, that you want to eat here, right? You know how much money we lose in food and beverage? Over $100 million a year in food and beverage leaves this town and is spent elsewhere. Because of our proximity to everything else, Griffin, Macon, Columbus, Peachtree, Noonan, Fayette, McDonough, LaGrange, Atlanta, we drive, right? Because Thomaston don't have it. We're going to drive. I'm going to drive to Macon and get it. I'm going to drive to Noonan or Peachtree and get it, right?
Yeah.
We lose so much money because of the businesses we don't have. I mean, it's just astonishing. There's so much opportunity in this town.
I just listening to you talk, it just lets me know how out of tune I am with all of that.
Again, our citizens don't realize what Thomaston is, and I think that has been the biggest message for me, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what Thomaston was growing up here. I was taught Thomaston's a mill town.
Right.
That's what you were taught, right?
That's the way it was looked at.
Tell me what active mill we have in this community right now.
There isn't one.
There is, actually. Standard Textile.
Forgot about
Standard manufactures all of Marriott's. It's not a finishing facility, but it's a cutting facility for Marriott's towels, their rags, all of their stuff for their hotels. They're cut over in this facility and then shipped to South Carolina to be finished, right? But that's the only active mill in our community. What Thomaston is the socioeconomic hub of West Central Georgia. Thomaston's the biggest city in a 7-county radius.
Okay.
We're a city of 10,000 that serves an area of 150,000 people. We have the only hospital in a 7-county radius.
Come on.
We have the only Walmart, Home Depot, Chick-fil-A, Longhorn, Belk, Tractor Supply. We are the hub of this region. And it took me leaving and coming back to realize that we're selling ourselves short. Because this is what we've been taught. We've been taught that this is Thomaston, this is all Thomaston can be, and this is all Thomaston's ever going to be. And that's the same thing we're taught. This is who you are, this is what you're going to be, and this is all you're ever going to be because you're from Thomaston.
That's true.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And so I came back like a bull in a china shop saying, why? Why does it have to be like that? And it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't. Our community can be whatever we want it to be, but it takes us taking an initiative to make those changes, right? And to put some things into perspective and to tell the right story of this community, the story of hope and opportunity.
I do know that it's true because there are certain things that you just can't set at a price because the people here feels like that price isn't agreeable to this town, right? Let's just, for barbers, right? We can't charge what other barbers charge in other cities.
Where they gonna go?
Right.
Where they gonna go?
But like you said, I do know people.
How many people come
who drives
to
elsewhere and pay more than what we're charging?
Absolutely.
You know?
And then people that drive here that pay more here, like what's in Woodbury, in Woodland, in Manchester, Butler, Talbotton, Roberta, all these small communities, they don't have any of those places, so they come to Thomaston.
That's true.
Right? But also Zebulon, Concord, Molina, that area is coming to Thomaston because they don't want to go to Griffin.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with the craziness of Griffin and the crime and the challenges they have up there, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, Thomaston is in a great spot. And I think people need to understand that we are in a phenomenal spot as a community because we've been able to watch Fayette, Clayton, Coweta, Henry, Spalding, all these communities around us have exploded in the last 15, 20 years and completely transformed that town, right? Yeah. And while my job as economic development director is growth, right? My job is to help with revitalization and growing our community. My job is also to be strategic and intentional with that growth. One of the things that makes Thomaston special are the people. And it's that hometown, small town charm, right? And I think the biggest balance we have to have is growing while maintaining that hometown, small town charm. And you can't do that by building 4,000 houses over 3 years. Yeah. You lose every sense of that, right? And so that's why we focused on strategic infill development. Right. We can go all into all the things happening, but in my position, what I've really focused on now as director, downtown development, so I'm over our Downtown Development Authority and our Historic Preservation Commission. National chain recruitment, so working Highway 19, really telling stories to the national chains, how much money we lose, but also the drive-by traffic, because visibility is a big piece for these national chains. Gotcha. If you don't have so much traffic, they won't even give you a look, right? So we average between 20 and 25,000 cars a day between the Walgreens and the McDonald's intersection, which is doubled in the last 10 years. Okay. I mean, it's grown extensively. You go to Walmart, you see all those cars. It's Pike, it's Upson, it's Lamar, it's Meriwether, it's Talbot, it's all these communities around us coming to Thomaston, and that's helping us when we go out and recruit those national entities because that money's being spent here. When they go to Walmart, they could then go to Chick-fil-A, maybe they go to Home Depot, they stop in Tractor Supply, they make their weekly trip to Thomaston. I also focused on housing and neighborhood revitalization, and that's become a big, big focus of ours, particularly in the East Thomaston area, and then supporting attainable homeownership, because homeownership is not attainable anymore. I talk about the opportunity that exists in Thomaston. Go to Zebulon and try to buy a brand new construction. You need, at minimum, $450,000 to buy a new house in Zebulon, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
I can't afford that. Can you afford that? I'm not in a position right now. I hope, in 15, 20 years I can, but
I'm looking at a house in Thomas in Upson.
Yeah.
That's about that range.
Right, but
I don't know if I can afford it.
How can young professionals, how can our 20-year-olds that are going off to school, going to the military, wanting to come back, how can they become a homeowner? Because ultimately, if we want our community to thrive, we need homeownership opportunity for people like that. And so projects like Elliott's Crossing over here across from Burger King and Piggly Wiggly, I mean, that's 90 single-family homes in one project. We've only built 82 homes in our city limits in the last 15 years.
That's a low number?
That's a low number.
Oh, wow.
83. Here you go. We have 4,600 total housing units in the city of Thomaston. So there's 4,600 total houses, right? 83% of those were built prior to 1989.
Good God. Good God Almighty.
The town stopped. When the mills closed, the town stopped. And so you go around our neighborhoods and you see some of these neighborhoods that have the houses that are overgrown and dilapidated. More than likely, that family that was living there when the mill closed had to leave and they weren't able to sell the property, or maybe they did sell the property and it went to one of our legacy landowners, right? We have multiple entities across the community that own 50, 75, if not 100 plus properties. They bought them for pennies on the dollar, $1,000, $2,000. I lived in a house where the lady had bought it for $9,000. Can you imagine being able to buy a house for $9,000 nowadays?
I've heard some people say that they bought some houses for, low rates of thousands.
But the reality is, I paid $180,000 for my 3-bed, one bath in Silvertown. My mortgage is $1,700 a month in Silvertown. That is the reality of being a homeowner in today's economy. And so how do we provide attainable homeownership opportunities for young professionals? You do it through infill development and working with developers in the state and getting $2.5 million grants to help support it. And so the starting price tag for their 2-bed, 1.5 bath is going to be about $160. Homeownership.
Wow.
And then again, a big focus on revitalization of East Thomaston. We talk about our community and what we struggle with, and one of the things I think we really struggle with is envisioning more. We're good about talking. We're really good about talking about what it was, right? We talk all day long about what it was.
Yeah.
It's really easy for us to talk about what it is, right? Because every day we drive by, we see it, but it's very hard for us to imagine what it can be. And so in the East Thomaston area, we just finished up a big project back in May with the University of Georgia College of Environment and Design and Clemson University School of Architecture on, again, providing a new vision for East Thomaston. Infill development, duplexes, mixed-use apartments, commercial, a multi-use trail system, taking that old rail corridor in there and converting it to a trail system. Basically everything back over here from Highway 19 back to the east. So think about Barnesville Street, all the avenues, Park Lane, back over towards Joe White, Washington, Bethel, Hightower. Again, Barnesville Street, when I was a kid, you had that massive mill sitting over there. And around that mill, you had small businesses like Gwen and Kathy's and Spire's Clothing Shop. And today you don't. Right? But that doesn't mean that, once again, there can't be opportunity in that neighborhood. And so now's the perfect time because we have a massive project going underway, and that's the Halls of East Thomaston, the old East Thomaston School. Across from Stonewell and East Thomaston Baptist, you have the old school being converted into 54 units of senior housing. It is a $20 million investment into that neighborhood.
Whoa.
Massive project, and that goes back into the housing challenge we have in this community. So many of our seniors are being forced to live in place because they have nowhere to go to. Their kids aren't here. They can't financially or physically maintain their homes anymore, but there's nowhere for them to transition to. This is going to be a senior and income restricted development, offering pathways to hopefully get some of these seniors that don't need to be living by themselves in a single family home anymore into an apartment complex, and then take their house and hopefully get that back on the market for a first time homeowner. It's called a housing cycle. And when you don't have anything being built, the housing cycle stops.
Whoa.
I've learned a lot in the last few years, man.
Tap in.
There's so much opportunity, man. And again, what people don't realize, you go north of us, minimum to get into a market, it's $200,000, it's $300,000, it's $400,000. I mean, you can come to Thomaston and buy something sub $200,000. It's a tremendous opportunity, and my whole focus right now are young professionals and seniors that are looking to downsize. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you grew up in Coweta, Clayton, Henry, Fayette, and you can't afford to live in your hometown, come to a place like Thomaston.
That's something hard to find.
It's very hard to find.
Young professionals.
Yep.
It's hard to find professionals. It's definitely hard to find young professionals.
Look, man, you know, with the it's different nowadays. The work ethic's different nowadays,
Yeah.
but there are good kids out there, and you know, there's good kids in this community, and they just need to be taught about the opportunities that exist in this community. You know, that's one of the reasons why I got on the Southern Crescent board. I'm on the board of directors for Southern Crescent, the technical college, because I need our students at our school system to know the pathways that Southern Crescent provides and the pathways to get into our local industries, right? Because there's jobs out there.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Since you was talking about the over by Stonewall.
Yep.
Okay, what do you think about the modern businesswoman? And what are the biggest... Hold on, let me get this right. It's a little messed up.
You're good.
What do you think about the modern businesswoman? And what are their importance in this city, especially around the square?
I mean, we've got some phenomenal... The majority of our small business owners in downtown Thomaston are women. Look, man, the majority of them are women, right? I mean, from Lily Jane with Kayla Neighbors, who has grown tremendously in the last half decade. Rebecca Kramer with Milltown Bath and Candle. Oh, Lily Jane or Rebecca Kramer? Both of them, honestly. Look, Rebecca Kramer, when I met her back in 21, she was in her pool house. Today, she's moving into the Family Dollar building, right? She's in the transition of building that out, going from 2,000 square feet in downtown to 9,000 square feet over there. She's in over 20 states and selling her products in over 100 locations, made right here in Thomaston, Georgia.
Yeah, well, hopefully both of them see this.
Hey, I'll push it to them.
I've already asked the young lady at Lily Jane last year.
Kaylee.
And she told me
she's so busy.
She was like, get back with me.
Yep.
But then I had this drop where I wasn't filming. And then when I got back, I was just trying to go down a list, and I'm eventually going to get back around to it.
You
but
know,
just back to those women and
Tasha and Kendra here on the square. I mean, you know, we've got some phenomenal small business owners in our downtown. You know, the most important thing to me is for them to know that there are resources available, right? Again, you don't know what you don't know, and I didn't know coming to this position about groups like the Small Business Development Center. You know, the University of Georgia is funded through the Small Business Administration to provide Small Business Development Center consultants. So they will meet with you one-on-one, go through your business plans, financial projections. You need help with branding, marketing, wholesaling, logistics, you name it. They can walk you through and help you build your business out, right? And so from there, it's also funding. You know, I knew about going to a bank and trying to get a loan, but sometimes the banks are unwilling to fund you, right? Because maybe you're a startup and maybe you don't have a business history with you know, your financials. You've been doing everything in your own name, right? And so there are groups like CDFIs out there, which are Community Development Financial Institutions, which will work with startups, will work with food and beverage, work with those more riskier businesses. You may have a little higher interest rate, you may have a little, you know, longer term, but you can get funded. You know, also funding programs at the state of Georgia. I mean, in certain areas of our community, particularly the downtown area, you can qualify for something called the Downtown Development Revolving Loan Fund, which offers up to $250,000 of gap financing at a 2% interest rate because we're a classic Main Street community. Gotcha. 2% interest rate, that's pennies on the dollar, right? So, you know, I'm all about how can I consume what's out there and then pour that back in. We've got something on our website called a Starting a Business Guide, right? Something you can actually go. You can come up to City Hall and get them as well, but you can click on the different links. If you want to get a business license, you go here. If you need to get a building permit, you go here. There are resources out there, and I want our small business owners to know, hey, you know, if you have an idea, you want to grow your business, you want to do something different, you want a brick and mortar space, let's have a conversation because I'm here to help.
Yeah. So let's speak on the young lady who's over the project by Stonewall.
Okay. Crystal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So please elaborate on that for me.
Yeah, no, so Crystal York, Crystal is the chair of our local GIC team, and the GIC team is the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing. So this is a program that's administered by the University of Georgia's College of Family and Consumer Sciences, but it's done in partnership with groups like Georgia Power, the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, Georgia Municipal Association, Wells Fargo. It's a public-private partnership, and the idea behind it is that your city applies to be a part of the GIC program, and then if you're accepted into it, you put together a housing team, and that housing team works with a facilitator to develop a comprehensive housing plan for your community, right? Because Thomaston's housing needs are different from Zebulon's and different from Barnesville's and Butler's and Griffin's. We have our own challenges in housing and we have our own needs. And so we applied for the GIC program back in 2023. We were accepted. I met Crystal in 2022 when she was trying to push this same project in a different location. And I'm one of those people that if we're going to apply for funding or a program or something like that, I want to make sure the application, all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. I apply to get the funding. I apply to, like, I'm not applying just to apply. If we're applying, I want to be guaranteed I'm going to get that money, right? Or I'm going to get that designation. And so I told Crystal at the time, I was like, look, we're just not there yet. Give me a year. Let me cross some T's, dot some I's, finish this, finish that, and then we'll apply. And so Crystal held pat, and Crystal pivoted to the site she's at now beside the old East Thomaston schools, and we applied for the GIC program. And so through this process, we got into GIC. We started facilitating. Crystal's vision started to come to light out there, and she was awarded a grant from USDA for $1.5 million. The city of Thomaston was also awarded a grant from USDA for $900,000. Her grant was going to go to build the aquaponics facility on site. Our grant was going to go to help fund construction of the farmers market. With the change in administration last year, both of the grants were rescinded. So Crystal lost $1.5 million. The city of Thomaston lost $900,000 as well. When that happened, Crystal could have easily said, look, it's not meant to be. Let me wash my hands of it. You know, it is what it is. She did not. She pivoted. She kept making connections and eventually landed with Steve Nygren, the developer and founder of Serenbe. So if you've not heard of Serenbe is a master plan community in Chattahoochee Hills, so just outside of Atlanta. And Mr. Nygren is the founder of that master plan development, and it's just incredible. And they have a very big focus on farm to table and agritourism and agriculture and utilizing the land to its full potential and not destroying the land and working alongside Mother Earth and all those things, right? And so Crystal's whole approach is how do you address the food desert that exists in East Thomaston right now? Food desert, meaning that there is not a grocery store within a certain distance of the neighborhood, right?
Gotcha.
The closest grocery store would be Piggly Wiggly.
Right.
You know, back in the day you had Cook's, but you also had grocery stores on Barnesville Street. We had grocery stores on Hightower Street. Those are no more. And so there's a food desert existing. So her goal has been to build an aquaponics facility in partnership with ALO Farms. ALO is a group out of Peachtree City that has been doing this for over 20 years. And they work with Fayette County schools to deliver fresh leafy greens and tilapia to 47 Fayette County schools every single day. So the goal is to duplicate that model, put it right there in East Thomaston beside the East Thomaston school, and use that facility to serve Thomaston and Upson schools, but also Pike, Lamar, Talbot, Meriwether. We are the regional hub, right? So if we're going to serve our community, let's serve these surrounding communities. And so Crystal, she had to come back before zoning. We updated her master plan in conjunction with Mr. Nygren and the Serenbe placemaking team. She got approved for 43 housing units, 24 of those being single-family homes, 9 townhomes, and 10 live-work units. And so a live-work unit would be like, say, a barber wanting to get started, and he can't afford to pay $2,000 a month in rent for a barbershop plus $1,500 a month in rent for a house. This would be a live-work unit. So he can have a small 400, 500 square foot business in the front, barbershop, and then a residential unit at the rear of the structure where it's all in one, all under one roof. Because the goal is to support entrepreneurship in that East Thomaston area. Again, back in the day, you had small businesses all around Barnesville Street, but today you do not. And so how do you provide accessible pathways to promote entrepreneurship? It's like that, right? So, you know, Crystal, another initiative that she's taken over, and I'm just going to read from the text she sent me, but coming out of our UGA design charrette that we did, there was a lot of conversation. Reverend McGill was an attendee of that, and just a lot of conversation. Full of, he's on my Historic Preservation Commission. I mean, just full of information and history, and just wonderful human being. But the conversation arose around the historical namesake for the neighborhood, Bethel, Hightower, back over to Daniel, and traditionally it's called Colortown. And there's a desire from the residents that live in the neighborhood for it to have something different.
And like revamp it?
A new vision, right? Okay, you've got new activity going over here.
I don't want to call it Colortown.
And I at the time when this came up didn't feel like should be the city to initiate that conversation, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the city should come in and say, hey, you guys have said this is an issue, so let's come in here and dictate how you fix this issue, right? I think the city, once the decision for what the vision is, the city comes in and says, hey, how do we partner with you? The same way we partner with Silvertown, the same way we partner with Downtown. How do we provide you alleyways to implement your vision, right? Okay. And so Crystal and her Bridge Solution nonprofit is taking the initiative. And so on Sunday, August 9th at the Thomaston Upson Senior Center, she is going to be hosting Honoring Our Roots, Bridging Our Future. She is the founder and CEO of the Bridge Solution and visionary behind the Roots to Rise initiative that I was just talking about. And she's going to be hosting it alongside Reverend McGill and Jennifer Rogers and other community leaders. The purpose of this event is to bring together elders, church leaders, youth, families, and longtime residents to preserve the history, stories, and legacy of East Thomaston and downtown while beginning a conversation about the community's next chapter. Participants will reflect on where we've been, what has shaped this community over the past century, and what we want the next 100 years to look like. It's an opportunity for people to share their stories, honor our heritage, and to help shape a shared vision for the future. This isn't about rewriting history, it's about preserving it, celebrating it, and making sure the community has a voice in what comes next.
Awesome.
And so Chris is going to be hosting that. Like I said, it's going to be at the Senior Center. It's going to be on Sunday, August 9th, and it will be from 3 to 5:30.
I'll be there.
Please come and please promote it. I mean, and I think the same. I think this is the same approach that we've tried taking for the city as a whole, right?
Yeah.
I want to honor what the mills were to this community, because without the mills, Thomaston would not be the community it is today.
True.
But we are not a mill town anymore.
No more.
And so it is important that we recognize and embrace that history, but it's also so important that we all work together to envision a future for this community. Yeah. Because the reality is, and whether our citizens want to believe it or not, we're a town of 10,000 a day that could be a town of 25,000 in the next 15 to 20 years. We could double in population.
That's true.
How do we want that to feel? What do we want that to look like? If we are not intentional, if we do not lay the foundation today, Thomaston will grow how it grows. And that goes back into those rules and those regulations, right? We've got to have a unified vision for what we want for this community, and then we have to have implementers. We have to have people in positions, whether it's an elected capacity, whether it's a staff capacity, people in positions to implement the vision. And that's where I see myself.
Well, you definitely covered all of this without me even having to ask, and so we can just drop right on down to the bottom, because I don't want to hold you too long.
I appreciate the opportunity to come and share.
And special shout out and a salute to Crystal. Thank you for not giving up. Okay,
she's phenomenal.
Because after you said losing 1.5, I would have been up out of here.
No, and it's been a struggle, right? But I've tried my best to help support her and walk her through questions and concerns along the way. And again, I'm so excited to see her project, grow some legs. Right. I mean, we've got the zoning approval. She's in the process of nailing down what her horizontal infrastructure cost is going to be. So that's going to be your things like water pipes, sewer pipes, roads, sidewalks. If you've got a whole new development in here, what's that going to cost? And then the developer cost for the vertical infrastructure. So that's going to be your buildings, your houses, your townhomes, your live-work units. So the hope is we're a year, maybe a year and a half out from, fingers crossed, breaking ground over there. But that's just, it could be a $20 to $50 million project. East Thomaston School is a $20 million project. And throw it out there. Let's speak it into existence. I'm actively working with the owner of 707 and 709 Barnesville Street, which is one of the buildings where Spires was located at, to renovate and bring in 3 new all African-American owned businesses over there.
Come on now.
Yeah, so we've got some exciting things happening. And again, my whole goal is taking that old rail line, make it into a multi-use trail system. We want our own mini Atlanta belt line, and then how do we activate properties around it to help support this revitalization?
Well, I don't know everybody involved, but I do know they got 2 good people in you and Crystal, and I don't appreciate the fact that I'm bolder than both of y'all.
Well, we need more. We need community. We need community champions. I mean, that's the biggest piece now.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of great things happening, but I'm constantly seeing the negativity on Facebook, and it just drives the living crap out of me because I do this every day, right? And I pour my heart into what I do for my career. And so all I can ask sitting here with you is that everything I'm telling you is the God's honest truth about what's happening in this town, and I need more people to come out and say, how can I help?
We need more people. We need more community in the community.
Community champions is what I call them, right? Because you have your network.
I like that.
You have your network.
Yeah.
I have my network. Crystal has her network,
For
right?
sure.
But if we're all spewing the same message and we're pushing back against the negative and the naysayers.
Speaking of the negative, and this is at the bottom, what have been some setbacks that you just can't avoid talking about?
Oh, man. Dan would say the Millie Pavilli, man. Haters gonna hate. Look, end of the day, we have a wonderful new facility coming in downtown Thomaston, but we had some contractor issues. We had a slab poured that did not meet the specifications of the building. We could have easily taken that slab and said, hey, no big deal. No, it's not fair to our community. It's not fair to our taxpayers. We held the contractor liable for not doing the project the way it should have been done, and they're fixing it. I hate it. It's driving me insane because I've had multiple things that I've wanted to do under that structure, right?
Yeah.
I go back to that Heart and Soul initiative, and again, people talking crap about this project. The number one most requested thing from the Heart and Soul downtown farmers market.
Okay.
So when I came in 2021, my whole goal since 2021 has to try to get this project in downtown Thomaston. It's just taken 5 years. I mean, it's a massive project, right? I mean, other things on that list were things like Chick-fil-A and Longhorn, and those were much easier to bring on board.
Yeah.
But this was a massive project. And end of the day, when it's done in September, we are going to have tons of events down there. It's going to be an environment where we want to invite the community. If they want to host events, if they want to do things in downtown Thomaston, that will be the location. The real reason we built that is because every road around the courthouse square is a state or federal highway. So if we ever want to do events in downtown Thomaston, we have to coordinate through GDOT. We have to do a road closure request. And ultimately, if GDOT says, hey, no, we won't approve that, guess what? We can't do it.
Yeah.
And so this gives us the ability to have a facility 1 block off the square to do smaller events, first Fridays, second Saturdays, where we get a local sponsor to bring in a musician, and we just invite people to come to downtown Thomaston, right? Mm-hmm. How do we support our downtown businesses? How do we support this future hotel project that I've been working for several years? That's just another one. We need a hotel. We have desperately needed a hotel in this community for many, many years. And we will have a hotel in downtown Thomaston. We will. In the next 2 to 3 years, we will have a hotel in downtown Thomaston.
Okay.
These are transformational projects for this community.
You catch a lot of flack about Whataburger?
Man, Whataburger just had a bad business model, in my opinion. Let's talk about that real quick. You cannot locate next to Chick-fil-A with a double drive-through and sell $30 hamburgers, and it take 30 minutes to get your order.
30 minutes.
It just doesn't work. That business, and what's crazy, so I'd been to Whataburger in other states and had never experienced service like that. I mean, the food was good. Like, once they started off bad though, right? You can't come into Thomaston and like fall face forward, because once you get a bad reputation, it's over with, right? So they came in and they fell face forward, and then they tried to circle back. They made some tweaks. They got the food right, but then it still took 30 minutes, and they said, oh, we cook everything to order. Man, ain't nobody going to a fast food restaurant for a cook to order, right? We just want a quick burger.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, the challenge we're running into on backfilling some of these spots on Highway 19, again, just very transparent with you guys, property values along the corridor continue to rise. You've got properties that have sold for, AutoZone sold for $1.3 million. The Popeyes building is under contract for $1.6 million. You have properties that have doubled, if not tripled in value over the last 5 years on that corridor. So now you have these vacant buildings and the property owners are only willing to lease those properties. They will not sell them. Why do you think? Because who's to say 5 years from now it hasn't doubled again, and that Whataburger building that is only worth $2 million today is worth $4 million, right?
Gotcha.
So they're of the mindset, let me find someone to come in and lease this building. They can pay me rent, and then maybe 2 years from now, when their lease ends, I can sell it and double my money. Same thing with the Sonic building. The Sonic listing agent has had multiple offers to buy the building, and they are only willing to lease the building. You want to talk about the shopping centers along Highway 19? There is no reason why those shopping centers should not be full outside of ownership.
Yeah.
The challenges we have in our community, every empty building that we have in our town, I will say that without every building we have empty in our town, the challenge is ownership. Okay. Whether it's a downtown building or a building on Highway 19.
Gotcha.
If it's an empty building, it is not for a lack of interest from people. And it is not for a lack of trying on my part to facilitate backfilling and getting some of these vacancies taken care of. Mm-hmm. It's ownership.
Well.
And reputations. And outside of people own property outside of Thomaston.
Yeah.
You live in New York and you own property in Thomaston. You live in Atlanta and you own property in Thomaston.
Yeah.
It doesn't help us.
I do notice I see some complaining. I don't even look at the discussion page. I don't even know what's going on there. But I do hear about what might be discussed on there, right? I'm not a big complainer, right? It's not my thing. I'm usually the guy that usually just, if you give me lemons, I'm going to try to figure out how to get some lemonade.
That's the goal, right?
It doesn't matter how many lemons you give me. You can just give me one. I'm usually that guy, right?
Me too.
I don't normally complain. Plus, I don't know enough to complain about. However, I'm not complaining, but there is one thing.
Talk to me.
That I don't like.
Talk to me, please.
I don't like the roundabout.
Oh, that's a GDOT project. That has nothing to do with the city, and that goes back into these conversations, right? Hannah's Mill Bridge, county property, county project. City has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I mean, that's the challenge we face with people because people think, oh, the city's doing that. No, GDOT came in and said, hey, we're going to put a roundabout right here. And the city said, well, what if we don't want it? And GDOT said, well, we really don't care if you don't want it. That's what we're going to do. County says, hey, we're going to make the state pay for this bridge to be replaced. We're not going to spend our money on that. We want the state to pay for it. Yeah. City says, oh, our citizens are going to push back. County says, hey, we don't care. We're going to wait. And what have we done? We've waited, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of confusion about whose project is that? Whose responsibility is that, right? Is it the cities? Is it the counties? Is it the states? If you don't know, you probably shouldn't be making false accusations, right? You should probably figure out who you should be complaining to and then trying to address that person. And if you're concerned about something, call me. Like I'll say my phone number right now. I mean, call me and I'll try to find an answer for you.
Hopefully GDOT is watching or somebody from there.
I want them to finish the intersections at Green Street and West Main and Gordon. Those projects, so turning at Mallory and Ace Cleaners, like those have been going on for 3 years. And the city, look, when it comes to these GDOT state routes and these federal highways, the city is handcuffed. It's not our property.
Got you.
I will say though, and I'm going to leave you with two things because I do got to hit the road. I've got two really exciting things coming up. Three actually. Okay, number one, Urban Land Institute. I have a group of professionals coming down from the Urban Land Institute to take our UGA and Clemson plan we just finished up and help put together something that's a little more implementable. I told the students not to worry about zoning and land use and infrastructure and all the things that determine these developments actually happening. But the reality is all those things really matter. And so I've got a group coming in out of Atlanta in a few weeks, 3rd week of August, 4th week of August, and they're going to work with us over the course of 2 days to take all these things and put together an implementable plan for East Thomaston, really tying it into downtown and some of these other projects. One of the other big things that I have coming up, groundbreaking, the official groundbreaking for the Elliott's Crossing development is going to be on September 4th. And so that is the 90 single-family project right over here across from Piggly Wiggly. We'll do the official groundbreaking over there. And the reason that is notable is because this is the biggest project that the state's Rural Workforce Housing Initiative Fund has ever supported. The biggest project. And so fingers crossed, I think we'll probably have the governor in town that day, highlighting that project. I know we'll have some representatives from the Housing and Urban Development at the Department of Housing and Urban Development and HUD. We'll have hopefully Commissioner Nunn from the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, our representative, our senator, our congressman. We really want to put some notoriety on this community. Thomaston will be a model for rural revitalization. That has been my message. We will be a model for rural revitalization, and we will do it through reimagining, redeveloping, reinvesting, and revitalizing this town one day at a time.
I applaud you, man.
I appreciate you, brother.
And I appreciate you coming in here.
Thank you.
And running this down for us. I know a lot of people that may not even know who you are.
Look, I'm Taylor Smith. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Thomaston. I can be reached at 706-601-4520, or you can email me at tsmith@cityofThomaston.com. I'm very, very reachable, and I'm here to serve.
I like to give my guests nicknames. I've already gave Dan, Dynamic Dan.
All right.
I'm going to call you Taylor Gang.
Taylor Gang, I got in that T-Smooth.
T-Smooth?
T-Smooth. You
can't
go wrong with that, right?
I like Taylor Gang.
Taylor Gang works.
Because I'm a big Wiz Khalifa fan.
Okay.
And I feel like, my community like to use the word gang. When we were, we don't even say homeboy no more, cuz. We say, what's up,
what up, gang?
Yeah. So I like to say Taylor Gang.
I'm cool with that.
The second reason I want to say Taylor Gang is because I feel like we're a gang now, and we're all up under the Taylor gang. You know what I'm saying?
I need a gang. I need a gang of community champions out there making it happen. Go to Crystal's event. Go to Crystal's event.
Please.
Reach out to Crystal. Learn more about the Roots to Rise initiative happening over in East Thomaston. Learn more about the Halls of East Thomaston project. Learn more about Elliott's Crossing. Oh, the last thing I was going to talk about, we got $3 million from the federal government to do pedestrian safety and streetscape improvements in downtown.
Pedestrian safety
and streetscape. So what we're really going to do is try to improve walkability, connectivity in downtown Thomaston.
Okay.
We had a lady a few years back that got hit by a sand truck, and she lost both her legs. So we're going to try our best to make sure that never happens again. So over the next year and a half, be on the lookout. You'll see some construction starting downtown, really trying to improve the crosswalks at the courthouse, putting some rollover curb in to help address some of the tractor trailers coming through downtown, destroying the curb alongside the sidewalk over there, and just beautifying the downtown square.
Yes, sir.
Got some great things happening.
Hey, this is Talk Your Culture. I'm your host, Chris Fagan. This is the town of the back-to-back state champions basketball team, 2017-2018. Also the home of the number 1 overall draft pick, Trayvon Walker, and Taylor Gang.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Y'all come back.